Welcome to the Unpacking It podcast with Bryce Johnson. It's a show that unpacks sports, faith, and life with intriguing guests from the sports and entertainment world. Enjoy inspiring conversations and thought-provoking interviews. You'll hear stories from people that will inspire, challenge, and encourage you. Now, from the Unpacking It studios in Charlotte, North Carolina, uniting sports fans everywhere, here is Bryce Johnson.
And joining us now is the head football coach at Arizona State, Herm Edwards. In his first season with the team, they went 7-6 and went to a bowl game. From 2009 to 2017, he was an analyst for ESPN. He also played cornerback for 10 seasons in the NFL from 1977 to 1986 with the Eagles, Rams, and Falcons. He's also the former head coach of the Jets and the Chiefs. Most importantly, he's a husband, a father, and a man of faith. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing well. Great to be on your show.
All right. Well, can't wait to talk about your story, but I just want to start with the NFL draft. It just took place, and so what's your perspective on it now that you're a college coach watching all the festivities?
Well, it's never really changed for me. It's a great opportunity, regardless. A lot of these young men's dreams and aspirations is to be part of the National Football League. So now they get an opportunity. And that's what the National Football League's about. It's about opportunity. And I think the thing they'll realize very quickly, pro football is not a hobby. Not a hobby. It's your profession. And every day is a competitive environment. And that's the one thing they'll learn.
No question about it. So we're talking with Coach Herm Edwards, and so you're heading into your second season at Arizona State. So how are you feeling this time around compared to this time last year?
Well, coming in last year, there was so much to be said about the hiring. And what I was concerned with was not so much myself, but the outside voices capturing our room. In other words, the players as well as the coaches. And the thing that I had to make sure I established right away is my first meeting with all of them. I said, look, you're going to have to let me earn your trust. I want to earn your trust as your head coach. And I said, hopefully you won't let the outside noises influence you. And luckily, they did not. They actually listened to the voice in the room, and it was mine. And I think through the course of the year, I earned their trust, along with the coaches and the players. And when you reflect on it last year compared to this year, and you've gone through it already, and a lot of these guys have come back, we've kind of established a culture, which is very, very important.
And what would you say that culture is? When you set out to take over this program, to build the program, what did you want this culture to be?
Well, we wanted it to be a very complete process of a student athlete, That was the experience of being a student athlete, I think, is very important, because you only get one time in your life to do this.
That's right.
And I'm talking about the whole experience, not just the football part of it, because then you're cutting them short. They're a student. They sign actually a scholarship as a student athlete. It doesn't just say athlete.
That's right.
Not like in pro football. And you want them to gain the whole experience, and I think that's part of it. And then from there, our deal around here is real simple. It's we have a certain standard of what we try to live by, and it starts with me. We want to be on time for everything. And this is biblical now. Words and actions, do they match up? It's on the back of everyone's shirt as they work out. Do your words and actions match up every day? And then the last one is compete. If you do those three things and you do them consistently, and that's part of your DNA, I believe that you have a chance to be successful in life.
It's strong. And really that saying, do the words and actions live up to each other? That's relevant to all of us and anybody listening today. So what does that mean to you, and how do you demonstrate that yourself, and how do you get that to be ingrained into the culture and into your team?
Well, it's when you're the man, that's leading, let's say, the band, it starts with you, with everything you do and say. It has to match up. It really does. It's called integrity.
That's right.
And, eventually what we do in the dark comes to the light. And every time you stand and I stand before these young men, I have to make sure that what comes out of my mouth, my actions match it up, and it's very consistent. People want consistency. I think when you sit in a leadership role, I think the most powerful message you can send anyone is you give them the message of hope. It's a powerful word, hope. It gives you energy. It gives you a vision. It gives you an understanding that we have a chance.
That's right.
And, life is about that, chances and opportunities.
That's good. Coach Herm Edwards, our guest right now on Unpacking It, head football coach at Arizona State. And so let's go into the decision-making process for you when you took over this job at Arizona State, of course, leaving ESPN. What role did your faith play into ultimately deciding to get back into coaching, and what was kind of just the mindset and process like for you?
Well, I've always tried to live my life by faith, not by sight. And you're always pulled in different directions, emotionally sometimes. And I took the emotion out of it. It was a perfect situation for me. I've had other opportunities to come back. It was never the right fit. But visiting with the AD and the president of the university, it was to my best interest when I sat down and listened to these men talk about what they were trying to do, and the culture they were trying to build here was exciting to me. And I missed it, to be quite honest. I miss being a part of young people's lives. It's a wonderful thing when you go back in your history as a coach, and this has happened to me numerous times, where players at the pro level as well as the college level. I was in college for 3 years. They come back to you and they say, Coach, you don't understand how much you meant to us as a man and the things you taught us. So you miss that. You miss being around it. You miss the everyday inner works of coaches and players, and this is all you've ever done. My life was very fortunate. I was a pretty good athlete and gained a scholarship and played football and went into the National Football League, and lo and behold, 30 years later, that's all I've ever done. And then they asked me to come on television and talk about football, put makeup on and talk about football. I said, I can do that too. And so I tell people all the time, I've never had a job. I've been on recess my whole life.
I love it. Well, but you take the impact very seriously as far as what you can do in the lives of these student athletes. And so for you, uniquely designed, what do you feel like you bring to the table, or you bring to these guys' lives? Like, what are some of the common things where you feel like that's the value that you, Coach Herm Edwards, brings to an individual? Some of the, just the characteristics that you represent that you feel like you can really, impart on them.
Well, look, any coach will tell you that no coach has ever given a player talent. God gives them talent.
That's right.
Now, what you do is you make sure they don't waste their talent. And that's one thing you bring to the table, is that you're not going to be allowed to waste your talent. I'm going to make you live up to your potential. Once we determine the standard of and your potential, this is what you want to do, then I'm going to make you live up to it, and I'm going to hold you accountable for that. And then I think it's very, very important that if they leave your watch not better men, you failed them. Because eventually, if they do not become pro football players, and even if they do become pro football players, that's their occupation.
That's right.
That doesn't define who you are as a man. And I've always said that. The title that you hold in life, your working title, don't let that define you. You're going to be defined as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a community servant. I mean, those are the things that will really define you. Your career is your career, but that's not who you are. Who are you when you take your uniform off? Who is that guy, right? And if all those things you have to deal with in life, if you fail in those, it's not going to matter about your football career.
How hard is it to get that message across?
Well, I think that young people today, they're gatherers of information. And there's so much information out there. But I think young people want consistency. They want a message that is true every day. And they can see it. My message is visual. They see the head coach every day. They see my actions on the practice field. They see it during game time. They see it all day. I'm in this building all the time, and I'm around my players. And they see me, and they watch how I interact with players, coaches, my family when they're in the building, other people's families. They see that every day. If I don't live up to the standard that I'm setting, that's a bad image. That's a bad view. And so, I understand that because, that's the standard I choose to live by.
Amen. Coach Herm Edwards, our guest right now on Unpacking It, now the head coach at Arizona State. And we know him from ESPN, of course, as an analyst. And you mentioned the having to put makeup on and talk football. But what do you miss most about being on TV as an analyst?
Well, the impact you have in people's homes. You don't realize how many people that you're speaking to when the red light comes on.
That's right.
Especially when you first start. You don't realize that. And I think the thing that caught me by surprise is that you become this recognized guy for whoever you are, however people perceive you are on television. And it's kind of interesting because the first year I took the job recruiting and going and sitting in people's living rooms with mom and dad or sometimes grandma, whoever the guardian was, or sometimes the neighbors would even come over. And you sit there, and 10 minutes into the conversation, the question always comes up. They say, Coach, can we ask you one question? And I say, go right ahead. They say, you're just like the guy on television. And I look at him, I go, yeah, well, that's kind of who I am. It's almost like they say, was that guy really on television? The same guy? Yeah, he's the same guy. So to me, that's a good thing for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I reflect something to them, and I've had a lot of families tell me, say, Coach, the one thing we understood about you when you were on television, regardless of the subject, you seem to be the voice of reason. And to me, that's quite humbling when they tell you that.
And then that provides that trust, and they want their kids to come play for you. So that's cool to hear. Coach Herm Edwards, our guest right now on Unpacking It. So you get back into coaching, you get back into the college game. So how much did your coaching style change, if at all, going from the NFL, your last stop as a head coach, and then heading to college?
Well, the workload on the players is less, 20-hour work weeks.
True.
Because of the time. So you understand that. Coaches, I think when we decided to bring in the pro model, they were a little bit shocked of how less time we were going to be on the practice field, because I don't believe in going after over 2 hours. If you're going over 2 hours, we're doing too much, and my feet start hurting after 2 hours, and we can't do that. But I think what I learned here, 70% of your life you're recruiting. You're really recruiting them because that's your lifeblood. And the funny thing here in college, they get to pick you. In the NFL, you pick them.
Good point.
And so that's a little bit different. And but I think at the end, it's really about your program and what it stands for and how it's run. And for me, I think the thing I learned about college football is that in pro football the field is level. The ball's always in the middle. In pro football, because of the way the hash marks are designed, there's a wide side and a short side. I learned this too in college football. There's 20 timeouts. Oh. I looked at those guys at the officials meeting. I said, "There's 20 what timeouts?" I said, "These are the longest games in America. That's why these games are so long."
That's why. Yep.
You guys got way too many timeouts.
No kidding.
But there are certain things in college football you have to learn. It's a little bit different in pro football, but it's really about being prepared and enjoying the moment. Football is about moment memories, and I've always said that. There's going to be a moment, and hopefully it's a good memory that you're going to capture every time you go out on that football field.
That's right. Coach Herm Edwards, head coach at Arizona State, joining us here on Unpacking It. And we love talking football on the show, but also love talking about faith and know that you're a believer in Jesus and a follower of Jesus. And so as you look back at your faith journey, what were some of the tougher seasons of life that really developed your faith, developed your dependence on God?
Well, I think as you have this walk, and you walk by faith, not by sight, you realize there's going to be things to test your faith. And for me, it was very vivid. You live in a world that's very competitive, very, very competitive, and you've lived in that world for 30 years. And although you're teammates and you respect each other, you can never be influenced in the wrong way. And I think when you stand as a man of faith and is consistent, people respect you. Now, they might not all be people of faith, but they respect you for it. And maybe the toughest thing is that when you're in that world and it's so competitive and there's so many different things coming at you, you could be influenced. Do you make mistakes? Yeah, we make mistakes. But you can't be a repeat offender, what I call it. And because they look at you when you say you're a man of faith, and people watch you. Well, how is he going to react when things are bad? Is he going to change his demeanor? What's going to come out of his mouth? Is he going to blame other people? All those things that you're well aware of, you can't allow that to happen. You have to be consistent. And I think probably the biggest challenge for me, and when I was really tested, was my first year with the New York Jets when we had 9/11 hit after our first game. And we together as a team decided we weren't going to play.
Oh yeah.
We were going to forfeit the football game if we had to play. And that was a moment where you sit there and as head coach, and the league's going to play, and as I walked into my room on that Tuesday and watched those planes run into that building, I knew in my mind, I said, well, we can't play. It's time to pray. We need to come together as a country.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell my football team, if you guys don't want to play, the head coach, I got your back. And regardless of what happens to me, I could have got fired.
Yeah. Yeah.
By saying I didn't really care at that point, and I think there's times that it's always tested, but if you stand true to your faith, it works out. It always works out.
And how important is it for you as a coach recognizing the platform that you have, especially with college kids and this stage of life where they're trying to figure out what direction they're going to go in life?
Sure.
What's that like? Just the weight of that and the opportunity that you have.
I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I really do, because it makes you stay consistent. It really does, because you have no choice. If you decide, if you profess to be a man of faith, look, and I had one of my most exciting moments here Saturday night. They had a big Catholic fundraiser, over 800, and both bishops were there, and to sit there and profess my faith, that was very exciting for me as a coach, and I think the Catholic community, they knew they were getting a Catholic coach, and I've never talked to those folks. I've been the football coach, but they saw the other side of the football coach, and I think that was very, very important.
No, that's to be that vocal and outspoken and consistent. I love that word that you continue to use. It's hard to find in people these days. It really is. And so when people
we'll compromise. We will compromise rather than telling the truth.
That's true.
The truth always sets us free. And the last
Amen.
time I checked, when you tell the truth, you only have to say it one time. You never have to chase it anymore. You never have to worry about what you said. It's been said.
I love it. That's great. Coach Herm Edwards, our guest right now on Unpacking It. Earlier, we were talking a little bit just about your character and what you represent as a coach. If I ask you to describe the character of God, what comes to mind? And in what ways has he revealed his character to you?
He was a servant. He was a servant.
That's right. He
humbled himself. He was a humble servant.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we lose sight of that. I mean, he went to the cross for all of us.
Amen.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and you think about who would do that.
That's right.
I mean, right now, if you had to do that, would you really go do that?
That's right.
I mean, that's what I always tell myself. I go, I have this little thing that, I kind of read every morning that says, Lord, help me follow you as my coach. So in turn, I can faithfully coach others.
Wow.
So he's my coach.
That's right. No, that's important. And so him as your coach, what has he been teaching you recently?
Well, continue to walk in his light and in his footsteps. And when you make mistakes, and obviously we do, you say it. Anytime I get out of character, I can remember during the practice, I got out of character a little bit with a player. And nothing, not language, but just raised my voice in a tone where I knew I kind of went, I shouldn't have done that. And I can remember after practice, now I'm the head coach, the head coach can almost do what he wants. And I can remember after practice, when we came up, I called that young man up in the middle of and brought him to me, to the middle of everybody. I said, hey, guys, I lost my composure today in practice, and I'm apologizing to this young man. I mean, those are the things you do. Did I have to do that? No. But if I want my team to be a team that plays with poise, and when moments of anxiety arise, they stay calm, then I have to stay calm.
That's right.
Even in practice. And, that was a point where I could have let it go. No one would have said anything. It was the head coach or it was a coach being a coach. But it was a teaching moment. It was a teaching moment for me, and I grabbed it and said, you know what? This is where I'm going to apologize because I was out of character. And so, I mean, cool. when you get yourself in those moments, you have an opportunity to use your platform.
What kind of impact did that have on the player and even other players?
I think that, the players kind of went, well, that's why he's coach. I mean, when I do things like that anymore, I think they're almost expecting it.
Yeah.
Because they say that's who our coach is.
That's cool. Even after only 1 year with the team, they already they get it. They're buying in, and it's exciting to see what the future holds for Arizona State with head coach Herm Edwards in charge. And coach, my final question for you today. I've been asking my guests this recently. I'm a soon to be dad for the first time.
Oh.
And so you're a father of three. So what kind of wisdom can you share with me and our listeners today?
Well, I'll tell you this, and I learned this from my good friend Tony Dungy. When he lost his son in that tragic situation that took place, I was one of the first guys he called. I've known Tony since 1977. We came into football together.
Yeah.
We played in All-Star games together, and I've coached with him on staffs when I was in Tampa and in Kansas City. And I can remember on the phone when we were talking, and it was one of the hardest days of my life when I talked to him. And, I went there for the service. But the last thing he said, Herm, I'm going to just tell you this. I didn't hug him enough.
Wow.
So that's what I leave with you.
Yeah.
You can't hug them enough. You can't.
Man.
Because all of a sudden they grow up, and you go, what just happened? I mean, my girls now are 12 and 13. My son's in his 30s. And I look at my daughters, and I make sure every day I hug them.
That's cool.
You just can't. So don't, if you have a son, a daughter, whatever, don't take it. Early, you want to hug them. It's easy. And then when you get a little older, you get caught up in, because we're all pressed for time. And you can't hug them enough.
Wow. Simple yet powerful. And leaves a lasting impact on kids for sure. No, that's encouraging to hear because I just think about my own parents hugging me. So I definitely get that. That's awesome. Well, Coach, man, so great to talk with you. Really appreciate your heart and passion, and thanks for sharing that with us today on Unpacking It.
Thank you, my friend. God bless you now.
All right, you too. There's Coach Herm Edwards joining us here on Unpacking It.
For more information about the show, our events, and other resources, visit unpackinit.com. That's unpackinit.com. We hope you are encouraged, inspired, and challenged by what you heard today. To support our show and Unpacking It Ministries with a financial gift, visit unpackinit.com/donate. We look forward to unpacking sports, faith, and life with you again next week.